hello. Hello, Joe, and hello, Anastasia.
Hi, hello.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome welcome to another Penny on the Telly. And thank you for being my guests today to celebrate. What are we celebrating? International Women's Day.
Yeah, ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, we're celebrating ourselves. Now, the theme was choose to challenge. So I want us to pick up on that today in our conversation. And first, I think we should just briefly introduce ourselves. Everyone knows me, I hope, on my channel. So I'm Penny Pepper, writer, author, poet, performer, activist. Who's going to go next? Joe, do you want to go next?
I'm Joanne Cox, and I play electric cello.
And
what else do I do?
You do loads of things. You do loads of things. Remember, part of this celebration is to seek out, to challenge, to seek out and celebrate ourselves and women's achievements. Jo is a composer. Would you agree?
I write stuff.
She's so, what's the word? Modest. But she's an amazing talent, and she does, we're going to talk about it, but she does an amazing amount of work to make her performances and her pieces fully accessible. But on to you, Anastasia.
Well, I'm Anastasia, and I run a digital communication agency called Artist Digital, and I run a streaming service called We Stream Live, and I used to sing, and I play a little bit of piano and guitar, nowhere near as good as Jo plays her instrument, but I try, and I've got 2 children, and I love everything to do with culture.
Ooh, that sounds good. I just wanted to add that I live in Hastings on the sunny coast of Essex. The sunny Sussex coast. Jo, tell us where you live.
I live in Walthamstow in East London.
Jolly East London. I used to live very near Jo, and we've known each other for many, many years. We were trying to work it out. 2003. That's
nearly 20 years.
Anastasia.
And I live in Stone Cross near Eastbourne, also in Sussex, and I love Sussex.
Yeah, we love Sussex. Jo knows Sussex well, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you've got family in this area, so we all love Sussex.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get across that we're all over the place. We're sort of like, we're not quite international, but we're not all pretending to be where we're not. We are in different locations. I'm in my lounge in St Leonard's on Sea. Actually, I'm lying a little.
Well, considering that I ain't English, we probably are international.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we could have a whole chat about ancestry, because I'm a very diverse ancestry, and I love doing that. The census is coming out soon, and just a little aside, there's going to be a lot of research released around suffragettes. I can't wait for that. Very pertinent to International Women's Day. So I'm now going to ask you some questions. If we think about the theme being choose to challenge, I want you to tell me one thing that you would really like to challenge, whether it's around gender bias, inequality, and inequality across the board. Who's going to go first? Anastasia?
Well, it would be difficult to choose one thing, but I always remember what Margaret Atwood said that women are not born, women are made. And when I was a young woman, I never knew I was a woman. I never thought about myself as a woman. And probably up to the moment when I had my daughter, I didn't know that I'm perceived as a woman. I walked into the world thinking that I'm like everybody else, and I have got the very same opportunities, and I have got the very same perception of me, of the world. But it turned out I didn't. It turned out that the game was set for me without me even knowing that. So if I was to choose just one thing for the sake of this conversation to challenge, I would choose to demolish this kind of set in which every woman has to walk and try to adjust, only to understand that she can't.
Yeah, great answer. And I really feel there's strong parallels for me and for many of us, of course, but also as a disabled woman, because you are assigned a role. And I don't think I realised I'd been assigned a role of what I could and couldn't do till I was about 12, which was the first sort of rush of women's lib and burn your bra and everything, because I am that old after all. But I really agree that we're born who we are, but we become this label that society and tradition has put on us. Although I will just say quickly that not a big fan of Margaret Thatcher, and she is famous for also saying that feminism was poison. But let's leave Maggie out of it, and on to you, Jo. What would you say you want to challenge, or has been your biggest challenge?
What you mean personally, or
As well as a woman, or what you think as a woman identifying as disabled, anything really.
okay. Just a perception of what we should look like and how we should dress and what our figures should be. All that I think is still a really huge pressure.
Yeah, and you said as well about challenging for you as a woman, challenging the recovery model. Do you want to tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so the recovery model of mental health, it's become very money driven to get people out of the system as soon as possible, and basically say they're fine because they learned some strategies, and then they get kept out of the system, and everyone puts words in the service users' mouths saying, "Oh, but you're fine, you're doing this, that, and the other." And we know it's not about what you do; it's a lot more complex than that. So it really does need challenging.
Can I add to that, Jo, as well, as someone who's been through the system, as we both have, with our mental health issues, is that there's also, I think there is more, there's a gender bias that, again, that there's expectations of what our mental health issue will be, and we both know that, and we have a joke, don't we, that sometimes to get help you have to dress badly and be smelly.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the way to get the support you need, and that in itself to me is very discriminatory towards women. So we need to work on that together. My own challenge has always been, and I'm saying this as a writer, of course, that this perception that no one wants to read about disabled women.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I now have an agent who knows that's not true, and I'm very lucky that she's in there, my warrior, my strong warrior woman fighting for me. But it's going on and on because, again, it relates to the struggle women face, the gender issue. That it's because you're not meeting the expectation of your label.
But of course, this tradition is rather long-standing because we know that many women throughout centuries had to adopt a male name just in order to be published.
Yeah.
There is a term of female poetry, which is a derogative term towards poetry.
Yeah.
And that's supposed not to be quite so good as a male poetry. So I think that we have to recognize that as a long-standing problem, and unfortunately not really improved recently.
Well, I think that some of those things are now slowly getting better, but you still can't really write about your lived experience if that isn't the expectation of what they want you to write about. I could have probably published a lot more if I'd agreed to never write about disabled people. And I've just done a podcast. At one point we were talking about the passion that keeps you going and keeps you well at the same time. But one of mine is that to my last breath I'll be fighting that stories are stories. I'm not the only person who believes that, and I know that when I get work out there it's wonderfully overwhelmingly supported, but it's that barrier of tradition that, like you say, Anastasia, has gone on and on and on. And one thing I'll ask you quickly, I know we don't have a lot of time, sadly, to make this very long, is have you felt that you were in more of a male industry?
I definitely always felt that whatever industry I was in the male area. I remember long ago, I lived in Moscow and my friend, my female friend, came to visit me. And my life wasn't spectacular, but somehow she thought that I had achieved something. And she told me how envious she was, which I remember replying that you wouldn't be so envious if you knew what I have to walk through every single day. And I played on a male field. I always used to say I play on the male field. It's not just to do with technology. It's not just to do with design. It's not just to do with the fact that I had to work hard to be a manager, to get any position that where I would be recognized. But it was just the simple fact that I was female, that I was blonde, that I had blue eyes. I don't know what else, but all these factors that I never thought about until I was reminded of. And it was extremely unfair to work as hard as I always worked and to receive only this kind of attitude where no matter what you do, you will be perceived as conditional secretary, kind of symbolic secretary, only on a facilitating role.
Yeah.
That's what I always experienced.
I think that's still there, sadly, a lot of the time. And I also think I like your comments about how we work so hard. And I think all women do, and that is a thing we can celebrate, give ourselves a pat on the back, because we have to do so much. Some people say to me, "Oh, do you get help with so and so?" No, I don't get help with that. I do it myself, and a lot of us get that, I think. And it's this idea, because how can we be doing it all ourselves, and it's still there. But I'm going to rush us on. Keep this nice and sweet. Joe, do you want to do a response on the cello? There's no
Yeah.
pressure. Give us a few seconds. Give us 20 seconds or...
Yeah, I find that a bit easier than talking.
Oh, then that's great because we're going to celebrate your playing.
Okay, thank you.
Go when you're ready.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Joe, has it gone off?
I think we lost the sound, yes.
That's weird. We lost you, Joe.
Oh, I know why that is. You have to turn your microphones off while I'm playing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Otherwise, try that, because otherwise, because the Zoom prioritizes talking.
It's a short but very powerful entry.
Yes.
The cello's not happy at Anastasia's experience.
I'm well over it, Joe. I'm well over it. Don't worry. But thank you all the same.
Well, I know that we've all got to dash off and do our wonderful women things. So,
Can I ask you both two questions? My first question to you both is, what, if you have to summarize what it means to you to be a woman, what would you say?
I would say, by the way, Anastasia, will you be able to edit this a bit?
I don't know. I probably don't, because we have got very little time.
Someone's knocking on the door. It's a PA shift change. I'll just let the door be shut and then we'll carry on.
Maybe Joe can answer the question meanwhile.
I mean, I could answer it, but there might be a bit of background noise. Is my mic still working?
Yes, we're fine.
Do you want to go first, though, Joe? I feel like I've sort of pushed in there.
Oh, okay. It means that everyone will tell you what you should do and what you should be like, but inside you're a goddess, but you just have to learn that.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Really beautiful.
I tell myself as a woman I'm a goddess, and I even got Alexa to call me goddess every morning. So I changed my name. That was, oh no, I've woken her up. If I say her name and then say, you know, I give the signal anyway, and she calls me goddess. But did you mean Goddess Pepper? She's just said, did you mean Goddess Pepper? Yes.
Yeah.
I think that we are. I think we need to move away from, you know, gender, biology, all this stuff. One sec, this will be funny. Alexa, stop that.
Sorry, you have all numbers listed for Naomi Wilds. Do you know their phone number?
Alexa, stop that. Alexa, stop. Oh dear. Why is she a woman? Can we choose it to be?
Yes, this is a good point, because there are some studies on how the creators of Alexa and other devices like Alexa, how they use the female voice, and why it's not at any point a male voice. But
yeah.
I
Well,
think
we wish it to be that there's more choice involved. I mean, I know you can change the accent, but that seems to be it. But I just briefly now, relating back to the question, Anastasia, I think to be a woman is to face prejudice and discrimination, but also to find immense compassion, friendship, and power through other women.
I really like what Joe said, that you are a goddess, you just have to find out. You have to learn it. I really relate to that. I think I love being a woman. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I think that if I were not a woman, I would have taken so many more things for granted, and I wouldn't have the same spirit in me as I do now. So I really like. I think Joe just really nailed it. And my second question to you both: do you think that recently, in spite of Me Too and seemingly a rise of new wave of feminism, do you think that recently, for the past few years, feminism is as much in need as ever, that the rights of women and the situation of women is actually declining rather than rising, rather than developing?
Shall I go first, Joe?
Yeah.
I think we do need feminism. I think we'll need it for a long time. All the statistics show that we need it, and speaking as a disabled woman, we hugely need it. I think in terms of the Me Too movement, it's still as needed as ever. I'm, I fight to be an optimist. I believe I'm an optimist, but at the same time, things can look grim. I think it's good to always remind yourself of what's there for you personally and the support you get from male colleagues and friends and partners, because otherwise it does look very grim. And unfortunately, I think that we will continue to see exposure of issues around and exposure of instances of abuse and harassment of women. I also think, though, that it's because we're like going through some process. That's probably me being old as well. That it feels like, I don't know, we're shedding a skin in some way, and it's painful. And time has to pass, and we have to learn all these new ways of being, where we can still be a woman, but it's evolving into something new, and I keep my optimism in that.
And
What
how
about
about Joe?
I think there's a danger of going a bit backwards. So we have to keep fighting.
Yeah, that's very true. In terms of what we've won or what we're supposed to have gained.
Yeah, I think maybe there have been a lot of gains, but if you think about it like globally, there's still a lot of women left behind. And then in this country, like, we've got equal rights in that, but the society is so unequal. And a lot of jobs that are being done more by women, they're just like so underpaid and so undervalued. Like, I believe, like, in preschools, that it's mostly women in nursery education and early years. I think that's probably partly because the pay is so bad. And it's women doing all these incredible jobs that are really, really important. And there's more women in caring profession as well. And they're still like really, really undervalued and really badly paid. So I think there's still a very long way to go. So
I agree with that. I agree that although we can clearly see some gain, it's really going down at the moment, and we can see how women are disproportionately affected by COVID. We heard only today that the nurses are not going to have more than 1% rise in their pay, and they are predominantly women as well. We only a few weeks ago we saw a poster created by the government where all domestic jobs were portrayed as performed by women, and the only man on the poster was the one watching TV. This is the mentality that kind of comes through, and it doesn't go anywhere, even if there's certain legislation or there's certain rules or certain payouts. The mentality is not changing that quickly, and I think that it's a good note to kind of to finalize on. We have to continue. We have to continue defending who we are and fighting for it.
I want to end on a happier note though as well, and just let's just remember we're strong. All women are privileged are strong, kind, compassionate, and passionate women, and I want us to literally take that crumb with us for our International Day. But we know we're goddesses every day, Anastasia.
The Society of International Goddesses.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Penny on the Telly.
Thank you.
And this will be up soon, I believe.
And happy International Women's Day on Monday.
Women's Day. It's on Monday, and hopefully we'll be flying around social media.
Of course we will.
Okay.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.